also sorry, I couldn't join your meeting earlier this morning, and I wanted so much to to join you. But in any case, can you give me sharing rights, please?
I will definitely. Just find you here. I found you. Make a presenter. Change. It does seem that things are almost getting back to what it was yesterday, before yesterday. There you go, Prof. So, guys, like we said, this is a project. Your honors is a project that you are taking. It's not your entire life, but it's part of your life. And Prof. Botha is going to help you understand how to project manage in order to successfully finish all 5 modules or the one module that you have left. Over to you, Prof.
Thank you, Dr. Karen. Good morning to everybody, and welcome to this session in this last day of your Honours Week. I'm sure at this point in time you feel your cup is overflowing with information, good information, valuable information, and now you need to go back and make decisions how you're going to use all this information. And I hope that in this particular session, I will give you some guidelines. And as Dr. Karen said, your studies is a project. It's a very big part and important part of your life at this point in time, but also for other stakeholders. So that is my aim, to make sense of this and to provide you with an approach to manage your studies successfully, so that you can attain your goals. So let's start off by asking ourselves a question: what is a project? So the formal definition, or one definition, is it is a temporary, unique and progressive attempt. So it is temporary. It is for the time that you are enrolled. It is unique. It's the first time that you are a postgrad student. It's also a progressive attempt to endeavor made to produce some kind of a tangible or intangible result. So your tangible result would be your graduation ceremony, where you receive your formal a certificate, but there's also a lot of intangible results, and it's maybe of importance. Both are important for you deciding to enroll for postgrad studies, and that's why it's also so important to make a success of this particular project. Although it is then temporary and unique, we must make sure it's progressive and that you produce all the tangibles and intangibles results thereof. So in theory, the project management process consists of 5 distinct steps. The first one, and we will go through this each and every one in a bit more detail. So just as an overview, the 5 steps are the following: project initiation and conception. Then step 2 is to plan your project. Once it is planned, you will move on to stage 3 to execute your project. In step 4, you need to do project monitoring and control. And very important, the last step is project closure. So let's look at each of these 5 steps in a bit more detail. So step 1, project initiation and conception. This is, as I say here on the slide, arguably the most critical phase of the project management process. So this pertains basically to businesses and organizations that are projectized. I'm sure you have been part of a project before, even a wedding, a birthday party, planning to go on a trip, or any of those are also projects. So to initiate and conceptualize a project is a critical step. The objectives is to identify the why behind the project and your project goals. So you need to decide and ask yourself these questions. Why did I enroll for this qualification? What is my goal? Because this will determine all the efforts that you will put into this unique project of yours and eventually to attain the best results. So once again, in a business environment, it is difficult to sometimes conceptualize why we need this new project. You need to pitch it before managers, before it is approved. So that all of those doesn't really apply to our situation as postgrad students. But the important part is decide why you enrolled for this qualification and what are your goals. Step 2 then, plan your project. So here's another few phases that you will need to lay out. You've got now your goal or your objective that you want to achieve, whether it is only to complete the qualification or the intangible benefits such as a promotion, being more ready for the world of work, to put yourself in a better position to get that dream job. We need to plan now in detail what is needed to do, what activities do I need to execute and execute it successfully in order to attain the objectives of this project. So the project scope is normally how much time you need to spend on the completion of a project, and in this case, your qualification. So as you know, this qualification, this specific honours degree carries 120 credits. So you need to budget for at least 1,200, 1,200, what we call notional hours. That is what is required of you in terms of time spent to complete the project. So the notional hours, we include in those hours reading time, completing assignments, formative assessments, writing down, studying time, and also then your final assessment tasks, your summative assessments. So all in all, you need to budget for 1,200 notional hours. If you are not enrolled for the full qualification in 1 year, in this year, you can take each of those modules, take the credits associated with that, and multiply it by 10 to get your notional hours. So each module is basically designed with this in mind. We as academics may not take more of your time than is prescribed in the notional hours. We also need to make sure that it is not a diluted module or qualification that we offer. So we try to stick more or less to the 10 hours per credit for each module. So that is the time you will need. Then the project estimation, that speaks to the break time of your time spent on each module. So you will need to make an estimate of the assignments that you need to submit for each module, the resources that you will need to complete the assignments, the milestones, and the due dates. So this is a critical step, and you need to take time to complete this project estimation. So in terms of resources, there we refer basically to prescribed books, your study guides, all the publications on the module sites, and also hardware resources. You will definitely need a computer. We state that also in the yearbook. Access to the internet is crucial. I don't think there are very specific requirements in terms of hardware, computer hardware to acquire. So you just need to make sure that you've got access to all of these resources. Then thirdly, a communication plan. You are not alone on this journey to complete your honours in business management qualification. There are numerous other stakeholders that you also need to communicate with. They need to be aware of your plan, your resources, and also the time that you will need to spend on your studies. So you need to communicate with your family members, people that are dependent on you, that will require some time of you. You also need to communicate with your lecturers. We cannot stress this enough. If there's any uncertainty, communicate with your lecturers. But I think the most important thing is lecturers are really, in our department, very committed to our students' success. So all the information that you need, you will find that on the module sites. So please visit these regularly. For each announcement, everything that happens there, you will in any event get an email alerting you to that. But please visit the module site. We get it so often just before the due date of an assignment. We are flooded with emails. And then students ask questions that are already answered on the module site in terms of due dates and requirements, etc. So please make use of this facility. Then you also need to communicate, if you are in a working position, with your colleagues at work. They should be aware that you are studying and also allow you then to take time off, for example, to write your online exams. And then also, as you know from our discussion on Wednesday, HR Bus 83 will you require to be working in a team. And we've dealt with that already on Wednesday. So that is then your communication plan, very, very important. The fourth part of the project planning process is a risk management plan. So you will know from a business point of view, a lot of things can happen. The COVID pandemic actually taught us so many lessons. You cannot you cannot for a moment assume things will just stay the same. Change is inevitable. So things happen, life happens, and therefore you need a risk management plan. So you can identify foreseeable risks and how they can be avoided. The biggest risk, and we've got at UNISA a whole department or a directorate basically that looks at the risks of students and why they don't complete qualifications. Because our pass rate may be high, but the throughput rate, and that is the completion rate of our students, are very low. So time and over again, every year, they flag time to spend on studies as usually the biggest risk due to work and family commitments. And I'm sure you will agree with that. You've already completed your undergraduate studies. So please make time and use the project scope for that purpose. Then also access to information. We do know load shedding is a problem. We do know that data is expensive. So access to information is also part of your risk, should be part of your risk management plan. As I say, data, power cuts, and then also financial resources. Unfortunately, and this is not a decision made by academics, this is a university policy, with outstanding study fees, no results, exam results and final results are published or made available to students. So also you need to plan for your financial resources. So lastly, I say it is important to also have a plan for how the risk can be avoided or mitigated. These are always risks for each and every one of us. These are risks. So you need to decide how you're going to avoid some risks, for instance, time spent, how you will solve it, access to information, have access to data, etc. So this is our project planning process. And we will really advise that you put some time and really effort and be mindful of these 4 steps that you need to execute in order to have a successful project. Take cognizance of the hours needed for each module, divide that between the different assignments, milestones, and due dates. communicate your plan, and also try to identify and manage the risks associated with that. So that brings us to project execution. So this is where the actual work is done. First of all, stick to your plan and timelines. It is very difficult, we know, but we always advise, please do your assignments in advance before the due date. Do not wait until a few hours or even the day on which your assignments are due. There are some traffic problems on the platforms. This is what I mean. So you may find it difficult to upload your answers, making it late, the platform closing, and then you need to apply for extensions. So stick to your plan and timelines, and plan to submit your assignments even before the due dates. Remember, you are now busy with postgrad studies. So it's also very important, and I want to share with you the NQF Level 8 descriptors. So NQF Level, that stands for the National Qualifications Framework. It is a framework development by the South African Qualifications Authority. So we are basically, as academics, we need to stick to these level descriptors for all the qualifications that we offer. So as an honours student, you know that if you complete your senior certificate, your matric, you are on NQF level 4. If you complete a B degree, as you did now, that will bring you to an exit NQF level of 7. So now on your honours level, you are busy with NQF level 8 descriptors. So if you take into consideration, master's degree is on level 9, and the doctoral degree is the highest that you can go on NQF level 10, then you can think that a lot is expected on NQF level 8. On this postgrad level. So let's look at the level descriptors, what is basically required. So we also as academics need to apply this when we develop, first of all, qualifications, whole qualifications. We need to take into consideration our exit NQF level is NQF level 8. So each of the modules that comprise this particular qualification also need to be on NQF level 8. So let's look at what is expected from SAQA from us. So on NQF level 8, the scope of knowledge in respect of which a learner is able to demonstrate knowledge of and engagement in an area at the forefront of a field, discipline or practice. So this particular qualification is in the business management field. So knowledge on its own, not acceptable. You need to prove and provide evidence that you are engaged with that and also have a good understanding of the theories, research methodologies, methods and techniques relevant to this field, business management field. And you also need an understanding of how to apply such knowledge in a particular context. With, you've covered it extensively. I saw the program, artificial intelligence, and all these wonderful products that are available to us. Still, please use that as your learning journey. But when you provide your evidence of understanding, knowledge, engagement, and application of such knowledge, it should be your own work, and we are looking for your voice in that. I think gone are the days, even on undergraduate level, where we will ask 100% theory-based questions, not in an assignment, not in the exams. You need to demonstrate knowledge, understanding, and how to apply the knowledge. Then also knowledge literacy. A learner is able to demonstrate the ability to interrogate multiple sources of knowledge in an area of specialization and to evaluate knowledge and processes of knowledge production. So it is not acceptable anymore to only cite your prescribed book or what is given in the UNISA study guide. You need to have the ability to consult and interrogate multiple sources of knowledge. But what do you do with multiple sources of knowledge? You basically use it to form your own understanding of a particular principle or theory or model or whatever, and make use of all these resources to formulate and demonstrate a good understanding of any given theory or subject field that you are busy with. Then, method and procedures in respect of which a learner is able to demonstrate an understanding of the complexities and uncertainties of selecting, applying, or transferring appropriate standard procedures, processes, or techniques to unfamiliar problems in a specialized field, discipline, or practice. You must always remember when you go out into the world of work, you will not be confronted with familiar problems. As the world changes and as these changes become even more faster and more volatile, and in terms of speed and the magnitude thereof, you will constantly be faced with unfamiliar problems. So you also need to be able to deal with unfamiliar problems in the subject field. Right. The next one, problem solving. So we normally test this by means of case studies. So you need to have the ability to understand, to demonstrate the ability to use a range of specialized skills to identify, analyze, and address complex or abstract problems, drawing systematically on the body of knowledge and methods appropriate to a field, discipline, or practice. So by all these sources that you are making use of, having a good understanding of the theory, apply theory to practice, and then eventually being in a position to solve problems. Because as a manager, you will be on a daily basis confronted with problem solving, and you need to make decisions to solve these problems. Right. After problem solving, of course, ethics and professional practice, in respect of which a learner is able to demonstrate the ability to identify and address ethical issues based on critical reflection on the suitability of different ethical value systems to specific contexts. Now, ethics is a study field totally on its own. Business ethics, the same goes for that. But in this context, we mean you need to demonstrate ethical and professional practice. And you've also dealt with that. Yesterday's speaker talked about digital citizenship, plagiarism, copyright violation, and all of those things are part of this particular level descriptor. The next one is assessing, processing, and managing information, in respect of which a learner is able to demonstrate the ability to critically review information gathering, synthesis of data, evaluation, and management processes. And I think this will particularly be very helpful, or a requirement basically, of your HR Buzz 83 module, where you will need to demonstrate the ability to gather information, to synthesize these data, and to then apply it to managerial processes. We're not done yet with the level descriptors. Producing and communicating information in respect of which a learner is able to demonstrate the ability to present and communicate academic, professional, or occupational ideas and text effectively to a range of audiences, offering creative insights, rigorous interpretations, and solutions to problems. So this highlighted, the last highlighted part is the most important. Creative insights, rigorous interpretations and solutions. And you cannot use AI to generate that for you. We need your voice in creative insights, interpretations, and solutions to problems. So you also need to be able to operate effectively within a system, understand the various roles and relationships between elements within the system. Once again, HR Buzz 83 will give you that opportunity. You will be part of a group. The group is a system of which you will be a subsystem. So each system will take inputs, do something with that, transform it to various outputs. Eventually, the outputs of all individuals will be collated to have one report presented by the group. So you need to be able to operate effectively within a system, understand where you fit into that system, and also then contribute positively, productively to the system that you are part of. Then learning strategies. I think at this point in time, you should be aware of your own best way to manage large volumes of learning material. So you need to have a learning strategy in place. From school, from I think primary school onwards, the psychologist will tell you you need to know how your brain functions in terms of your left brain and your right brain, and what strategies works best for you. So now you will even more make use of this knowledge to actually improve on your learning strategies. And these need to effectively address your professional and ongoing learning needs and the professional and ongoing learning needs of others. That's why we are here, for lifelong learning. Right, then accountability. Learners need to demonstrate the ability to take full responsibility for your work, your decision-making, and the use of resources. Full accountability for your decisions and actions of others where appropriate. So we cannot blame others or the system or our work or our families. We need to take responsibility for our own studies, for our own success in completing our studies. So I'm sure you are all aware of Bloom's taxonomy verbs. So this has been for hundreds of years in use in education, where Bloom basically divides verbs that you will find in your assessments. And he created a taxonomy for that, starting with remembering. So this is fact-based. You will simply copy or find verbs such as copy, define, find, locate, quote, highlight, identify, select, or duplicate. So you will, I'm sure, agree with me, this is completely on a low level of studies. And you need this, you need to define, locate everything, but this is the first part of understanding, which is the second level in Bloom's taxonomy. So there, in understanding, you will find verbs such as annotate, tweet, associate, summarize, relate, categorize, predict, compare, contrast, or comment. You will need an understanding to move on to application. So there you will find verbs such as articulate, determine, make a judgment, examine, implement, experiment, prepare, integrate, present something, or draw a chart. So once you've remembered the theory, have a good understanding thereof, you're in a position to apply it, then we may ask you to evaluate. So there the verbs you will find is argue, validate, test, score, assess, criticize, comment, debate, defend, or reflect. And I think on honors level, most of your verbs you will find, or your assessment verbs used in your assessments, you will find on the evaluation level of Bloom's taxonomy. You need to be able to argue certain principles, models. You need to validate that, in other words, substantiate your arguments made. You may be able be required to test something, criticize, provide comments, debate, defend, and reflect on something. Then more on master and doctoral level, you will be required to build new models, collaborate, compose, devise, write, program, simulate, or solve. So as I said, most of your verbs, I would think, will be on the evaluation level of Bloom's taxonomy. So remember what we've said earlier about the NQF level descriptors. What is required from you is to deal with what is given, the existing body of knowledge, to understand it, to apply it, and also to solve problems. So this is basically just an indication of the verbs that you can expect in your assessments. Then in terms of HR Bus 83, you will be required a high level of search through academic literature. And so this is the existing body of knowledge. You will be required to critically analyze it, summarize it. This is now the existing literature, and then eventually provide an outline for your research proposal. And then, of course, to report on your research. So can you see in this particular module how all three of these first levels of Bloom's taxonomy will get you to the evaluation stage, especially in the module HR Bus 83. So that brings us to step 4 of the project monitoring and control. So remember all of these level descriptors that we've just explained. These are important with the actual doing of the work, the actual learning, reading, learning, give back what you have learned. So that brings us to step 4, the project monitoring and control. So in this step, you need to ensure that your studies go according to plan. Keep the following on track: study fees, due dates of your assignments, study goals, the quality of your assignment submitted, and then lastly, the support from all stakeholders. But monitoring control, especially if you are working in groups for HR Pass, you need to constantly monitor progress of team members so that you also adhere to due dates and your study goals. Okay, that brings us to the next step in project management. Sorry, why does it want to? 5. Step 5 is project closure. When you completed your qualification and you are satisfied with the outcome, grades received, it is time to close the project and celebrate your achievement. But before you can get to that, you also need to close basically every module. And most importantly, this step is followed by the next one. Why is my computer now battling to get to the project closure? Sorry, I thought there was another slide. But project closure is also part of lessons learned. So lessons learned, there will be a few failures, not so good answered assignments, but the most important thing is we are all in a learning process. So learn from past mistakes. Try not to repeat those mistakes again, and eventually you will succeed and you will get your grades on an acceptable level, and then it's time to celebrate. So this, in essence, is the project management process that we can apply to your studies, project initiation, project planning, project execution, project monitoring and control, and then lastly, project closure. That is my story. Is there any questions from your side?
Rod says she never thought of using project management process for her studies.
I see that. Yeah, right. Yeah, it is a project, no, and very important goals, a very important project in your life journey. So I hope it assisted you. Any other
Okay.
questions from your side?
Come on, guys. Are you still getting? Prof, I think they're overwhelmed.
And it is Friday, and it's the end of the honors week.
Yeah,
So
it
all the
is.
best, and make use, this is my reporting words, make use of the expertise and the commitment of your lecturers and the academics. We are always there for you in any to assist and support with any problem, with any obstacle that you may, but do it in advance. Do not wait for the very last moment to ask for help. And remember, there's no stupid question. The only stupid question is the one that is not asked. So make use of your lecturer's expertise and our commitment, and all the best for the rest of the year. Thank you,
Yes,
Dr. Karen, for
thank you,
having me.
Prof, and
Have
thank
a
you for
good
joining.
weekend. It's my pleasure. You're welcome. Have a good day.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you. Bye.
I'm stopping the recording. So it's small.